people. Many of us recognize those three words as the first words of the Constitution of the United States. Most of us learn something about the Constitution going through grade school in our history class. Something we don't normally know about the Constitution is that buried in Article 1, Section 8, it gives Congress the powers to establish post office and post roads. I am here today to talk to you about the road system of the United States, something about how it developed and how it has grown through the years. I am a senior at Iowa State University in civil engineering, which is why I chose the topic of talking about roads, and I have worked in the road industry for 28 years. We all used roads to get here this evening, whether we came in on the interstate system or the county road system or through city streets. The United States has a very intricate system of roads, but how did it happen? How did it get here? Val Hart, in The Story of American Roads, found that as early as 1632, the Virginia Colony Congress passed an ordinance requiring every able-bodied man to help maintain the road system, to work a specified number of hours every year, or hire somebody else to do that work for him. In 1775, Daniel Boone took a troop of 30 men to open a path from Watauga, Tennessee to the Rockcastle River in Kentucky, which at that time was still mostly Indian territory. 25 years later, in 1800, the Kentucky Territory had 220,000 inhabitants because of that road. As the 19th century progressed and the Americans pushed westward, they made use of trails like the Santa Fe Trail to trade with the Mexicans at that time in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And in the later years, in the 1840s and 50s, the Oregon Trail to push westward to the Pacific coast. These trails took off at Independence, Missouri, and moved west and southwest to help move goods and people to the west. And as time progressed, wagon trains, and eventually the railroads. By the end of the 19th century, our road system had not progressed appreciably, because as Mr. Hart says, the Americans had fallen in love with a different kind of road, the railroad. Why would you take an arduous covered wagon journey when you can hop on a train and ride in relative safety and comfort? In the late 1890s, an invention came about that helped push the development of our road system, the bicycle. Bicycles became very popular, and the people who rode bicycles, if you've spent much time on a bike, you want to ride on a nice road. So between the bicyclists and even the railroad companies, they pushed and lobbied Congress to improve the road system. The railroads were great for moving freight from point A to point B, but you needed a good road system to distribute the freight once it reached its end destination. In 1914, according to Earl Swift in the book Big Roads, the American Association of State Highway Officials was formed, which was a group of engineers and public works managers who gathered together to share information, knowledge, and also planning on how to make roads connect. Because prior to this, every jurisdiction made their own roads, and if Johnson County wanted to put a road in, it might not end up where Lynn County already had a road or wanted to put a road. And you can actually run down the Johnson County line, Johnson-Lynn County line, and find some roads where there's a 20-foot jog in the road because the county line roads didn't match up. In 1919, the U.S. Army sent a young colonel on a mission to transport a military convoy from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. This 3,200-mile trip took them 62 days. They averaged 5 miles an hour because the roads were in such terrible shape. This was the final straw, and with the lobbying of ASHO, the Bicycle Coalition, and the U.S. Army, the Federal Highway Act of 1921 was passed. More federal aid was allocated for the 5-year highway plan than it had taken to construct the Panama Canal. According to Mark Rose in Interstate Express and Highway Politics, in 1946, after World War II, there were 31 registered vehicles in the United States. By 1950, there were 49 million registered vehicles. We needed a better road system. That doesn't show up very well, but if you look at that, you can see the outline of what is now the interstate highway system. In 1956, President Eisenhower signed the National Interstate and Defense Highway Act. And part of the way they got that pushed through Congress was because it had the tagline defense in it. They wanted to be able to move our troops and our supplies and military equipment rapidly from one position or one city, one location to the next. Today there are 44,000 miles of interstate highway. The America's Highway, according to Bob Bushmeyer in I-50, which is the 50th anniversary tribute to the interstate highway system, a collection of essays, the America's highway system has been central to the most vibrant economy in the world. We have come a long way since the wilderness roads of 1775. And now we have local roads that allow us to travel from point to point, almost any place we want to, at 70 miles an hour with the relative comfort of knowing we will get there safely.